Hello, my name is Jeniffer Lozano and today we're gonna learn about tips for designing amazing material for face-to-face and online environments, specifically in listening and speaking skills. So let's start with our presentation about this VLO. The global spread of English along with improved communication systems provides economic, political, academic, and social reasons for learning to speak English. Listening practice and developing listening materials is an important part of English second language students, and for acquired correctly, this skill helping our students to feel able to understand without problem in real scenarios. Now, with all technology, internet support, which give us the necessary to develop new and different listening materials, considering listening processes, bottom-up and top-down processes. On the other hand, speaking, known as complex mental process, teachers need to consider affective emotional factors because the personality of each student remains, besides to create spaces where students gain confidence through practice vocabulary. The objective of this VLO is first, provide information will help to design according to proficiency level, creating material using real situations which will allow understand real life language. The second objective is recognize the 5 C's of a foreign language education and thus design a material according to students' needs and type of class, if face-to-face class or online lesson. And finally, number 3 or third objective is use technological tools and apply them in material design. So let's start with the 5 C's of foreign language education because it's important to take into account this info for design all the material that we need for reading skills, vocabulary, writing skills, speaking skills is very important. So the first one is communication. The second is the culture, because you know that when you are learning a language, you are learning about the culture too. Number 3 are the connections. Number 4, comparisons. And number 5, communities. Now, in listening materials for face-to-face environment, we can use the following tips. So the first one is listening to stories. You can use audiobooks and podcasts to help to use that information to the students learn about literature and understand all the information and improve the fluency and the pronunciation, the correct pronunciation of each word. So listening stories give us or improve the knowledge in literature and pronunciation and fluency. The next one is listen to presentation. And this part, every student create their presentation about themselves and share in class. After that, each student write info that listen of each one or their favorite, okay, and write in their notebook. So they enhance listening skills and writing skills. But in this part, the most important is listen and have all the major comprehension of the general idea about that their classmate or eatmate are presented, okay, or is presented. The next one is listening with authentic materials. We know that when we design with authentic materials, we are working with all the possibilities of a native lesson about native speaker uses according to writing or speaking or listening. So in this part with listening, using web, TEDx, or YouTube, that there are authentic interviews. And we can do a preparation first, because in some videos they use idioms. The next one is giving commands. It's so useful and very practical. Here, develop a preparation exercise, and every day the class follow instructions as they will live in a country where they will speak English. And finally, in pair listening, they create a comic. Choose a strange situation in their life in pairs, create a comic, and share with the class. And then each student talk about their favorite situation that they have listened. Now, according to online environments with listening materials, we have used Vocaro for record. It's a tool for record. So you can record a conversation, and in pairs you can record, and others listen the conversation and transcribe sentences that they understand about that vocabulary. The other is complete or fill the gaps according to a poem or a song. So you can use literature or a classic song or the song of the moment according to the likes of the students, and that helps to improve listening skills. Okay. The next one is listening sites. It's very useful because on internet we can find a lot listening sites as a BBC Learn English for teens, for kids, and there are listening exercise designed according to English level. The students react satisfactorily with this kind of activities. Other is watching web series in original version in English. So that helps to improve the listening skills. Usually implies listening to the same audio video more than once. But that's good. It's not a bad thing. And finally, you can use the online dictations, and you can create an exercise to complete. And one page that is useful is dictationsonline.com, and according to your English level, you can do some exercises. Now, in speaking materials for face-to-face environment, we can use an exercise about idioms. Idioms are expressions or words that native speakers use every day, okay? And in this part, you give essential vocabulary which enhance English level and sound like a native. So you give the idioms, and the students apply the idioms in a conversation. Other are the pictures. Students look at picture or some pictures and invent a story, a fairy tale, or describe the situation in the picture. The other one is the role play. In the classroom, you create a real scenario as a restaurant or an appointment with a doctor, and start to speak in English. So if you create a restaurant, some students are the waiters or the waiter, and others are the customers, and use the expressions, the phrases, the modal verbs that we use normally when we need to eat something. The next one is interview. They interview one another in pairs and present their findings. And finally, there are the bucket lists. Students make a bucket list and socialize with class. In speaking materials in online environment, we can find idioms again, because in face-to-face and online it's important that learning have that information because it's important to enhance the English level and sound like a native. Then we have talk for a minute. The student watch a video about culture or animals. For example, they can see videos as Nat Geo Some Seas, are short and very important and interesting. And then we talk for a minute about that video. The number 3 is peer speaking, making phone calls between learners. Number 4 is a debate. Choose a topic of the moment, give keywords, and the class starts to give the point of view. And finally, teach a class. According to the English level, you can assign a topic: grammar, vocabulary, or cultural aspects, and the student create a creative class about it and talk about it. Finally, in conclusion, we can say that thanks to new technologies, we can develop interactive materials that works on these 2 skills according to the needs and interests of the students. Number 2 is speaking and listening in another language are skills that influence the student's personality. So aspects such as motivation and learning styles must be considered when designing the material. And finally, classroom spaces should be considered in relation to the English level of the class and the type of setting used, virtual or face-to-face.